what I want to do today is, instead of just talking about how perspectives change as you age, I want to talk about some of these pivotal movements, events that happen in your life that kind of act like a jump point or like a pivotal movement in shaping everything that follows, right? And give you a few examples of how that plays out. Because broadly, we are trained to think about age as a linear, equation. I mean, year after year after year, your body is becoming, right? I mean, entropy is setting in for the engineers, right? So, but there are certain points, certain events that happen in your life that color or filter or create this kind of a change, a jump point, what I call, and that's where time gets really interesting. A few examples, and I'll take both examples at a personal level as well as at a country level, because our country is also like a person, right? I mean, she is also going through, teenage, and the country is growing up as well, and all of us together with it, multiple generations. So I'll try to put together a few points around this idea of time. All time is not the same. I'm standing here and giving this talk is not the same as me in Bangalore doing some work. It might be just that 18 minutes or whatever, but it's not the same time. I mean, it's different every event. So let's start with this college, right? This stage. So I guess I credit my life, my entire life post 4 years here to the 4 years I spent here. I mean, I would not have met the people that I met. I would not have done the work that I did if not for the 4 years here. And the decision or the series of events that led me to come here to First Block and meet the people I did. You might think, hey, no, I mean, you could have been in some other context and you'd have done the same thing, explaining. But it won't be the same. It might be similar. It won't be the same. It's actually very, very important how you react to a particular decision and what you are going through at that particular point in your life. Right? So let's leave that aside. I mean, obviously, Surathkal is very emotional for me. I mean, I spent 4 years there. And let's move a little further. When I was in college, 92 to 96, there was a guy called Harshad Mehta in Bombay. Right? I mean, has anybody heard of Harshad Mehta? So, just to give you a recap, this guy was a stockbroker, and he used the banking system was completely paper-based. I mean, when you want to pay somebody, you had to write a check, right, or print out a draft and send it over and all of that. So he used the frailties in the banking system to do a massive fraud, right? I mean, it was like for those times it was massive. He was put in jail also. I mean, who does fraud and goes to jail these days, right? Anyway. So this guy, when I was in college, this guy does this in Bombay, and that event changed my life, right? I mean, how did that? I mean, so essentially, I got a job in a bank because that ANZ Grindlays Bank was fined by the Reserve Bank of India, saying that you've got bad systems and you need to now put together a core banking system to make sure Harshad Mehta doesn't happen again, right? Cool. I mean, this happened and I got out of college, and so there's another pivotal moment, right? Some other event somewhere else, and how that kind of shapes this young boy at that time coming out of college and mechanical engineer, and then suddenly a bank wants to hire me and wants to teach me coding and what, right? So so moving on. This is where I shift back out of personal, life to how our country evolved. Right? We call this decade, 2020 to 2030, as India's decade. Have you heard this term? Has anybody heard the decade? The decade. So a lot of people believe that these 10 years, I mean, a lot of people in engineering, a lot of people in finance, and a lot of people in astrology believe that this is India's time, this is India's decade. Tech is going to change India in a big, big way. I mean, whether you believe it or not, I believe it. So how did it come to be? It's not just not a country which is 76 years old or 77 years old and now it's our ego that's telling us that it's India's decade. But there's something more to this. So Harshad Mehta, going back to this guy who did this fraud in Bombay, and then the Reserve Bank of India got into motion. And what used to take 15 days to clear a check, over the entire country, by 2002, you could transfer money online. By 2002, anywhere in India, you could transfer money online within 8 years. Right? I mean, this is work that was done. I played a part. Thank you very much. So this created this movement where your money was moving faster. I mean, it was the banking system suddenly is all integrated. You could be anywhere in India and your money is connected to a central, sort of like a system. Why is this important, right? Because eventually, I think all our actions, I mean, today's world, I don't know whether it's right or wrong, I'm not going to judge it. All our actions are motivated by money, right? When you drill down to, when you peel the onion, you might say, hey, no, I'm doing it for social good, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and so on. But still you want to go on that holiday to Europe, and that costs money, and so everything is motivated by money, I mean, and for everybody, including the most staunch social activists. So since it is money that's motivating, how do we make this money more equitable? How do we make it something that everybody is connected to this money network? And that's where India in 2008 started getting this idea of creating something known as a digital public infrastructure. We call that now digital public infrastructure. And the first project was Aadhaar. So now we've got the banking system all hooked up. But we don't know who is this customer, because Canara Bank is a different Anup Pai and HDFC Bank is a different Anup Pai, even though we have the same bank. So Aadhaar came as a thing. How is that connected to me again? I'll bring it back. So eventually, all of these different things happened, and our country evolved at a particular time. Country aged, I aged. And perspectives from the point of view of what now, right? I mean, how do we use all of this to do good for everybody in the country? How do we create an equitable economic system that works for everybody? So that's when Jan-Dhan, happened, Aadhaar happened. And somewhere around 2015, I think it's 2015 or 2017, the number of computers in the hands of people, which is through our mobile phones, our smartphones, exceeds the amount of compute power that governments and corporations have. That's the first time that's happened, right? The people have more compute than all the corporations and governments put together. It's brilliant, right? So we have now a banking system, we've got this digital public infrastructure, all of that happening, but something else happened. The startup boom, right? I mean, and I guess many of us in this room will want to do startups at some point in time in our lives. In 2007, it was just the thing. I mean, nobody did startups. And then the boom happened, venture capital happened. So two parallel things happened. More and more people started doing entrepreneurship, and more technology started reaching the last mile. Everybody is on technology platform. So now let's look back. India had 75 and me at 50, and these 3 decades that have passed, that have created India's decade. Perspectives have not changed. We are still a republic, a democratic social republic, that cares for people. It's not about just capitalism. We care for people. We are a diverse nation. Different states come together, different languages, and so on. All that has not changed. But we are now the most technologically savvy, and the most networked country in the world. I mean, the number of people carrying mobile phones, using data, it's just amazing. I mean, and what's going to happen now is because we've got internet, cheap internet and data, we've got digital public infrastructure, and an integrated financial system that is well governed by Reserve Bank of India, the Dada. Right? So all of this is coming together to create, and the startup movement, obviously. Everybody wants a startup, which is new innovation, new ideas. And even ideas have changed. I mean, in 2015, it was all copycat ideas. Now it's everybody's trying to do something new. I mean, they don't want to be in the copycat zone. Right? So put this all together, and I feel this is where the Indian Tech-ade is happening. But there's one roadblock which I want to just lay out to you guys, and we'll try to solve it together. All of this has happened, but our minds are still the same, right? We still are insecure. We still have so many hang-ups. We still have so many, different things going. We still don't believe in ourselves. I mean, as individuals and as societies, as country, we don't really believe in ourselves. And when we do believe in ourselves, it comes off as an egoistic ego trip, right? I mean, right-wing ego trip, right? So it's like there's no balance. Right? I feel what we have is like a superb opportunity, but it will take a lot of hard work. It will take a lot of hard work, heads down hard work. And if that happens, it is India's decade. Otherwise, it's going to be a lost opportunity. And it's in places like this, in NITK especially, is where I think we can make it great. I mean, I'm sorry, I should not use the word great. Thanks to Donald Trump. But yeah, so I think overall it's the Indian Tech-ade. We have now matured, and I feel my generation, which is the generation in their 50s or 40s, 50s now, act like a bridge between what's coming and what's gone. Because we've been part of that entire tech evolution cycle. And that's where we are. I think we've got this great movement in India right now. And that's where I'll end my speech. Thank you.